most psycho women on paternity court.
Even though we separated, we still occasionally seen each other maybe every 2 months, 3 months or so.
No, I didn't. You didn't have to sign it. I didn't force you to sign it. Like, my baby look exactly like him.
Yes, I cut
No,
the
he said
umbilical cord.
You cut the umbilical cord?
Yes.
When you went into labor, you all were living together? You and Mr. McCray?
Yes.
Bottom line, Your Honor, is I had to support my children. He's controlling, he's verbally abusive, emotional. He treats my daughter differently. I knew he wasn't gonna get a job when he came back.
An off and on relationship, an insecure man, and a woman who feels she can do whatever the hell she wants. A perfect recipe for a chaotic day in the paternity court, if you ask me. Mr. Dark, a man from Atlanta, brought his girlfriend, the defendant, who he says is a promiscuous liar, to the court over the paternity of her 11-month-old son. He claims she was already pregnant before they had sex. Shockingly, she admits to cheating, but claims he is the father without a doubt. Woohoo! This is going to be spicy.
Mr. Dark, you say the defendant is a promiscuous liar who broke your heart 4 years ago. You admit to having a one-night stand with her 2 years ago. Ms. Bailey is now claiming you fathered her 11-month-old son, which you say is impossible.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, Mr. Dark explains that while he was on a business trip out of town for about 4 days, he was in contact with Ms. Bailey, who claimed she loved him dearly, and the pair were making plans to start a family.
Your Honor, I've been knowing Miss Bailey for probably about 7 or 8 years. We was in a relationship for about 4 years. When I first met her, we had some good conversations about establishing us a family and probably having kids.
But when he got back from the trip, he was told by his girlfriend's best friend that she was cheating on him the whole time he was gone. While he made these accusations, she had a smirk on her face and was rolling her eyes. Why does she have a smirk on? Something is definitely sus.
I left to go out of town to do some work. While I was going to Florida to do some work, I talked to Miss Bailey almost every day, telling me how much she loved me, how much she missed me, and vice versa. But when I come back, I came in from work, I gave her a kiss, whatever, told her that I was gonna walk to the store for a second to grab some things. Her best friend came running out of the door to like, hey, Terrence, wait up for a second, I'm gonna go to the store with you. Well, while we was going to the store, her friend started to tell me a story. She was like, well, the whole time that you was gone, she was cheating on you.
In Ms. Bailey's defense, she took a detour from the straight and narrow, all because she played the cheating card, suspecting her partner of dealing from the same deck.
And I only did it because I thought you was cheating on me.
So you admit you cheated on him?
I did.
But brace yourselves for the real roller coaster. They didn't hit the brakes on their relationship despite this shocking discovery. Oh no, they kept the flame alive with an on and off romance that occasionally set the room on fire, if you catch my drift. And just when you think it can't get any messier, well, hold on tight.
What happened to your relationship with Miss Bailey at that point?
I tried to work it past for about approximately a year or so, but I just couldn't take it.
Jameer is 11 months old, so that something else had to happen.
Yes, ma'am. Even though we separated, we still occasionally seen each other.
Seen each other and had sex, or
Yes,
just seen
ma'am.
each other
Still
and
was
said
having
hello?
unprotected sex sometimes, yes, ma'am.
When was Jameer born?
November 13th.
And then that means the conception window would be February 17th to February 24th, 2016.
You see, they both agree they only got cozy in the first week of March, but according to the numbers, she must have caught the love bug in mid-February. Definitely the math isn't right. Advantage? Mr. Dark. Mr. Dark adds another layer to the drama, claiming he was the safety net all along, the plan B in case the original father decided to bail. Is she playing on his kindness? Let's hear what she has to say.
With the calculation and the date she's using, Mr. Dark, you're saying this pregnancy would only been 8 months.
And so I guess I was just a crutch. Yes, ma'am.
You feel like you were a crutch.
Yes, ma'am.
The once unbothered strong woman is now emotional due to the weight of allegations leveled by Mr. Dark. Could these not be crocodile tears? After all, she did admit to threatening him to sign the birth certificate. Something has to give.
I was there when he was born. The onesies and stuff that he took home,
Okay, so
I
why
bought for
did you
them.
sign the birth
Pampers.
certificate?
Miss Bailey, what are you feeling in this moment?
Because
Tell
he
the
know
court.
that it is his son. Like, my baby look exactly like him.
And the reason why I signed the birth certificates, you told me at the hospital that if I didn't sign it right then I wouldn't have another opportunity to sign it. That's what you told me right there.
With Mr. Dark's suspicions laid bare, the challenge for her is to convince both the court and her baby daddy that she's turned over a new leaf. Considering her recent track record with paternity and infidelity, it's a tough sell. Can she shake off the shadows of her past? Perhaps a compelling witness could come to Ms. Bailey's aid.
State your name for the court.
My name is Yana Bradley. I'm his current girlfriend and I'm pregnant with his child.
Nice.
First, in my personal opinion, I don't feel like the baby looks like him. My due date is November 19th. My conception date is February 24th.
What you're saying is that you have a similar due date
Yes.
as the one when Jameer was born.
Yes.
Okay, well, we two different people.
Another plot twist, the witness, Ms. Bradley, happens to be Mr. Dark's current girlfriend. To add to the intrigue, she shares a similar due date with Ms. Bailey, raising eyebrows and fueling suspicions that Ms. Bailey might be keeping secrets. In her defense, Ms. Bailey goes with a classic "we're different" storyline to plead her innocence. Meanwhile, Mr. Dark accuses her of having a penchant for attached men, claiming she enjoys wrecking relationships. Can she catch a break and have someone on her side for once?
Miss Bailey has a history of attached men. Like, to me, I think she likes to destroy homes.
Are you an attached man now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, have you been dealing with her while you're attached?
Yes, he were.
Probably
Yes,
because
he were. He was calling my phone, asking me could he come over and have sex with me.
I got text messages that I showed to my girl when she wasn't even here, showing with Jessica like, oh, it's just me and Jameer tonight. You want to come watch a movie with us? You want, like, no.
From Ms. Bailey's text messages inviting him for a casual Netflix and chill just to spend time with their son, to family and friends suggesting the child doesn't look like him, and having grown up without her parents, Ms. Bailey has the cards stacked against her. However, since Mr. Dark's name is on the birth certificate, legal obligations kick in. He's bound to support the child and pay for child support.
Even if he has not bought him something, he will be buying him things because you put your name on that birth certificate, and that makes you the legal father.
Let's reveal the paternity results to unveil the truth and put everyone's curiosity to rest.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Dark, you are the father.
In our next courtroom drama, a U.S. veteran takes center stage as the plaintiff. He's dragging his wife into the legal spotlight, revealing her infidelity while he was serving his country in Afghanistan and casting doubt on the paternity of their young daughter. The stakes are high in this emotional legal showdown.
Actually, ma'am, I was overseas in Afghanistan, and a soldier of mine came up to me and tapped me on the boot and said, hey, I need to go outside. We need to talk right now. Well, it turns out his wife and my wife were friends, and she had found out that she was actually stripping as we spoke.
Mr. Threckle had found that his lovely wife had started exotic dancing, a venture he had strongly advised against. Why? A girl's gotta do what a girl's gotta do. To make matters worse, he uncovers suspicions that her performances might involve more than just dancing, if you know what I mean. Shockingly, she neither denies nor acknowledges these allegations to him until Mr. Threckle, miles away, decides to take matters into his own hands.
At the time, I thought, it was all just a hoax, so I went, calmly to the internet lounge, got on Facebook and asked her, is it true? And she didn't really say anything, honestly.
He hacked my Facebook. He
guys gotta
looked
find
into
out.
my stuff, into my messages.
What did he find?
I got on there, and on the inbox, I
That's
see,
not-
oh baby, I can't wait to see you later on tonight. I can't wait to see, the last few days we've spent together has been amazing.
Mr. Threckle had to hack his wife's Facebook account after denying having any extracurricular activities with her clients. I guess a guy's gotta do what a guy's gotta do too. And he found some incriminating messages about how a particular client enjoyed his time with his wife. But hold your judgment on Mrs. Threckle for a moment. Let's hear her side of the story before passing any verdict. The plot thickens as the courtroom awaits her explanation.
First of all, we were done. We had a phone conversation, and he had said we're gonna get a divorce. There was reasons why I needed to.
Overseas,
Yeah,
I
we
was
do.
making
No.
$4,000 to $5,000
Your Honor,
tax-free a month.
Your Honor, there are expenses when you have kids.
Aha! It turns out the Threckles were already in the midst of serious discussions about divorce, and Mrs. Threckle's actions were driven by the belief that the marriage was on the brink of collapse upon her husband's return. It seems she saw her unconventional choices as a safety net in the face of an impending separation. But since when did an argument translate into a marital dissolution?
Ms. Threckle, you say you guys were done.
Yeah.
So this really shouldn't be an issue because in your mind, you thought your marriage was over.
up is-
Because
It
you
was.
all had an argument about you stripping and you hung up.
We hung up and we said
Wow.
it was done.
To make matters worse, on his arrival from his time abroad, he was met by the absence of his lovely wife, who was supposed to be at the welcoming ceremony. Hours after waiting, he found her dressed in her work clothes with money sticking out of her boots. This is clearly a woman whose mind is made up about her next line of work. Mind you, a mother with kids. But this doesn't bring us closer to solving the paternity mystery, until this discovery was made.
The day I was supposed to come back home from overseas, I get there and not my father, my mother, my wife, so like I said, we'll quote that, weren't even there.
No, I was waiting in the car for 30 minutes.
Your Honor,
He
actually-
never showed up.
Alright, it turns out that not only did Mrs. Threckle have someone else on the side during this tumultuous time, but this mysterious figure has confessed to engaging in a relationship with her. To top it off, they've even got plans to tie the knot. Now we're getting somewhere.
So you're riding down the highway.
Yeah, she has her phone, so I snatched the phone from her and I started going through it. There was a number that she'd called like 13 times. So I called him right back. I said, who is this? Are you the one that's been my wife? He said, yes, I've been. Her and says, I guess I figured now who you picked. And so she starts crying.
Mr. Threckle, the clever strategist, hatched a plan in his mind. He thought that if he managed to get his wife pregnant again, she might relinquish her aspirations of being a stripper. A bold move indeed.
I like how she just said, I'm gonna strip and I'm gonna do whatever I want. I said, oh really? Okay, I'll give you a 9-month break on me. And within 3 weeks of us being home, she was pregnant. I don't know if it was my devious, messed up head that got her pregnant or the dude.
It turns out his plan to create a professional hindrance for her worked. Maybe a little too well. I mean, how could she be pregnant within 3 weeks of him getting back? That might not seem too far-fetched, but when you factor in the fact that she admitted to sleeping with another man during this period, as well as other men in the past, you'd understand Mr. Threckle's concerns.
Mr. Threckle, you asked your wife to take a lie detector test at some point.
Before she came back, I said, look, obviously the path we're going down right now isn't a good one. I'd like you to take a lie detector test. Right after our first daughter, she cheated on me with a guy when she was going to cosmetology school. There was a friend of mine that we've been friends with for a couple years. She was watching TV next to this one guy, and next thing you know, he rolled over on her and she thought it was
Your
me.
Honor, no.
And had sex with him.
While she may come across as a bit of a wild card, acting like she couldn't care less about her husband's feelings, jumping to conclusions about the child's paternity seems premature. After all, Mr. Threckle hasn't raised any questions about the paternity of their other kids. There's certainly more to this intricate story as the courtroom drama nears its climax. Brace yourselves for the truth that might either make or mar this relationship for good.
In the case of Threlkeld versus Threlkeld, pertaining to 1-year-old Liliana, Mr. Threlkeld, you are Liliana's father.
The plaintiff brought his ex, now Mrs. Moore, to court over the paternity of their daughter, who the mother vehemently claims is not his, even when the birth certificate says otherwise. Is she saying this out of scorn or simply trying to save her current marriage? This promises to be another exciting story, so grab onto your seats.
Mr. McCrae, you haven't seen your daughter in almost a year and a half?
I haven't seen her in 3 years. And the more I look at her, she looks like me.
I don't think so.
I changed her. I played with her.
He did not change her because he was like, he's not going to change no girl. He did not change her. When I got pregnant, I told him I did not want him at the hospital. Like, I worked late on purpose so I wouldn't be home with him.
Mr. McCrae claims he was the child's father for the first 10 months of her life. However, things took a sharp turn when she kicked him out of her house and cut him off from both her and their daughter. Now, to add another layer to the saga, she's making plans to relocate with their daughter and her new husband. The courtroom is about to witness the fallout from this family upheaval.
Like she said, the first 2 years were amazing, but we had our ups and downs. When she was pregnant and she told me she was pregnant, I just looked in shock like, yes.
Your Honor,
Okay.
We did not have sex that much. We really didn't. Like, we've been together, we probably had sex like 3-4 times, that's it.
Can these guys just agree on something? They've got us confused at this point. Who is telling the truth? Someone is hiding something. But why?
Were you using protection?
Nah,
Well, then why were you so shocked?
because I was told I was able to have children.
You were told you were not able to have children.
Yes.
Your Honor,
Okay.
I'm being honest, the 4 years we've been together, we probably had sex like 3-4 times, that's it.
So, Mr. McCrae, you're saying that's not true?
Oh, that's not true.
The back and forth saga continues, but a chilling revelation emerges. Mr. McCrae discloses a deeply guarded secret. He was informed that he couldn't make babies. This adds a perplexing layer to the story. Did she intentionally lead him to believe he was the father, or was he holding on to a hopeful belief in a miraculous conception? The courtroom is left to unravel the intricacies of this emotional roller coaster.
I signed the birth certificate.
I told him not to do it and he did it anyway.
This is a certificate of birth.
Yes,
That's my name, last my check.
And so you are the legal father listed on this birth certificate.
Yes, Your Honor.
To further prove his case as a legitimate father, Mr. McCrae presents the birth certificate, which clearly has his name on it. While the birth certificate might only prove he's the legal father, it also points to the fact that he was around Mrs. Moore during her entire pregnancy and childbirth. This begs the question, where was the alleged real father when all these happened? Enter Mr. Moore.
Jerome, I want to hear from this husband.
Okay.
Can you please escort him into the courtroom?
Sure.
Mr. Moore, do you believe DeMiracle is your daughter?
Of course, Your Honor.
So during the time DeMiracle was conceived, you were aware that she was also in a relationship with Mr. McCrae.
Yeah, they was living together. That was their thing.
But what?
It turns out that Mr. Moore was in the picture the whole time and knew Mr. McCrae was in a relationship with Mrs. Moore, but didn't mind. Why? He himself was involved with another woman. Talk about a twisted love square. Amidst all this complexity, one fact stands out. DeMiracle bears an uncanny resemblance to Mr. Moore. Before the DNA results seal the deal on our deduction, there's one more truth waiting to be unraveled in this convoluted tale.
So you're saying you were also intimate with her during the window of the time that DeMiracle was conceived.
That's nasty.
Possibility.
Somebody else
Right.
at the time.
That's nasty.
Miss Moore, you're not fooling me. I don't know where you were, but I know you were in a relationship when this baby was born. What was going on is she wasn't sure you gonna leave that woman. She wasn't sure. And until she was sure, she led him to the water and let him keep drinking.
The next biggest, and probably the most shocking reveal, was that Mrs. Moore deliberately kept Mr. McRae in the child's life because she wasn't sure where her relationship with Mr. Moore was headed. He was basically her plan B, taking advantage of his love for the child, and as soon as she was sure, she sent Mr. McRae packing. Without further ado, we present the results.
It has been determined by this court the biological father is Mr. Moore.